vous allez bien. Bienvenue à ma chaîne YouTube. Vous êtes nombreux de m'avoir demandé comment j'ai appris le français. Alors aujourd'hui, dans cette vidéo, je vais vous raconter mon histoire concernant l'apprentissage de la langue française. Je vais vous aussi donner plusieurs astuces pour que vous puissiez aussi apprendre une autre langue. Avec toutes ces astuces, vous pouvez les utiliser quand vous apprenez une autre langue, par exemple l'espagnol, l'italien et d'autres langues. Mais n'ayez pas peur, je ne vais pas parler complètement en français dans cette vidéo. Je parle en français juste pour créer l'ambiance étrangère, tu vois. Alors, ok, on commence. Okay, to begin, I'm just going to give you guys a brief explanation as to why I decided to learn French. In 2018, I decided to start learning French because I wanted to improve my CV. I only had my BSc certificate. I wanted to do something different. Now, at that time, I was working in like accounts department, and I did not want to do anything relating to accounting. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. I hate it with my whole life, but I decided to just learn something just so that I could become better, like a better person in general. So I decided to start learning French. So at that time, I enrolled in a class for beginners, like people that knew absolutely nothing. So at that time, I did like a class of like 3 months, and then I stopped. I wasn't so serious, so after that I just stopped. And then in 2019, I was like, okay, let me try again. Let me just do this once again. So I enrolled for the second time in a class for beginners, but it was like beginners part 2. So basically I already knew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I already knew like colors and some things. So I just learned like beginner part 2, where I could learn like some sentences and stuff like that. So I did that for like 3 months, and then I stopped again in 2019, and I just left it at that. And then well, I still had the interest of learning French, but I don't know, maybe I won't say I wasn't serious, but maybe, I don't know, I just needed to learn in a different way. So anyway, in 2020 the pandemic hit. And your girl, like, I had literally nothing to do. We were like just at home, so I was doing other things, but then I just needed to do something. So with that, I decided to learn French and just improve my French and just become like a badass in French. So I decided to start by reading. Honestly, I didn't really know what I was going to do. Like, I didn't have like a set plan. I just went with the flow and I was just reading. So luckily for me, at that time, like a month before the pandemic, I had ordered Kindle from Amazon. This is not an ad, guys, but this thing is a lifesaver, and this thing helped me. So now I'm just going to tell you how I learned, and I'm just going to break it into reading, writing, listening, and speaking, so that you guys can kind of understand. So basically, now we're talking about reading. So reading was basically my first way to start learning French. Remember, like, I had just like very basic knowledge of French. So I basically had to start learning French, and with my Kindle, this baby. So with this thing, I had access to like a plethora of different books on Amazon. Like, because before I was trying to buy books on Amazon, like physical books, and of course, like, I live in a small space. I don't have that space. So I decided to get a Kindle. So now your Kindle is just like, I'm not saying you have to buy it, but it's not really expensive in my opinion. I know like expensive is relative, but to me it's not expensive. So with the Kindle, I could choose literally any book I wanted to read, and I would read. Now the problem was that I did not really understand French, so how would I be reading like books I don't understand? So that's where I decided to start learning with children's books. Now, the thing is, when you are a learner, you have to become a child. Because when you think about how somebody learns a language, they start learning it from their childhood, when they're like 1, 2, they know some words, yes, no, mommy, daddy, and some basic things, water, food, rice, you get. But then after some time, they have to start creating sentences, and then from there they start learning, children's books, songs, poems, and all those things. So at that time I had to become a child basically. So I started really reading books for like 3-year-olds, literally, like stories about princesses and the sky and rainbows and the evil magician, you get. Like, I became a child again, and with that I was able to learn new words, and that way I started increasing my level. So after some time, after reading, like at some point I would know, it's like books for 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds are not for me anymore. I need to improve. So I moved to books for 6-year-olds, books for 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds. And I'm telling you, books for 10-year-olds are no joke. Like, they are actually quite complicated, guys. So you would feel like a dummy at that point. But then remember, like, you have to be a child to learn again. That is very, very important. And from there I started reading books for like teenagers, really nice fun stories, and then from there I started reading more complicated books. So I started reading books for adults, talking about personal development, books about love, but not even novels. Like, I read novels too, just to have like complicated vocabulary. But then I also read books like about like the solar system. I read books about money, finance. I read books about like the most random things ever. Just anything that, oh, I see the title, it looks interesting, I would read it, just so that I could improve my vocabulary and just my way of like understanding. Also, I used Quora. So guys, all the information I'm giving you guys, like all the things I'm going to be telling you, all the websites and apps, I'm going to link them down below so that you guys can kind of like understand, and it will help you. So I also used Quora. I subscribed to like French Quora. That was when I had really advanced a bit. That was when I started using Quora, and then I started reading blogs. Oh my god, my blogs. So I started reading blogs, but my favorite blog was Paris Match, because it really helped me like understand like different words from like different sectors, like concerning media, cinema, fashion, gossip, politics. That website had a lot. So basically, to summarize, I started reading books from like books for children, and then I advanced, and then I expanded by not just reading books, but then I started reading blogs. Okay, so that's it for reading. So now we are going to go to writing. So I would say that writing is very, very connected to reading, actually. You know what? I would say that reading is the most important foundation. To each their own, but I think reading is the most important foundation. And I'll explain it as I go along. As I get to each point, I will explain why reading is very important. So now for writing is also important, and I will say that writing is also kind of tricky, because you need to actually get someone to correct you. You can't just be writing, guys. You're not perfect. You need to find somebody to correct you. So there are two types of writing. Basically, there's informal writing, and then there's like the formal writing. So I started learning by basically informal writing. I was always chatting with like French people, French natives, people from Congo and different like countries. I used to chat with them online, so we would just talk about different things. So I had kind of established like an informal way of like talking, and just talking like with friends, but like talking in a formal setting, I did not have that. And I started reading. So yes, I read like formal things like blogs or like newspapers to like get vocabulary and to kind of understand the way in which they write. but then you still need to write, you still need to produce the information. I needed this, so what I did was I actually got somebody that will correct my writing. So this was like a professional person. He is French. I don't know, he's not French, like he's from Cameroon or something. And then like I paid him to like be reading through things. So like I will show him my, I don't know, maybe I'll write like letters, or I'll write like reports, or I'll write like essays, like why this should not be this, why the work environment should consider this, you know, just different things, but are like formal, just so that I could have like formal vocabulary, and I could produce formal vocabulary. And this was very important for me because I am a professional at work, and I expect hopefully in the future to use like French professionally. So this was very, if you're just someone that's just learning for fun, maybe you may not need to learn the formal way of writing, but for me it was very important because I plan on using French in my professional career. I plan on writing emails, I plan on like writing reports, I plan on, you know, just writing things in French in the future. So I really needed to learn how to write formally, and this was it. Also, reading is very important because when you read, you can be able to, it won't be very hard for you to write. So that's why I say reading is very important, because that way you already know how to spell words, you already know how to put the sentences together, you already know how to start a paragraph, you know, just different ways. I know in English you already kind of know how it is, so you can kind of like imagine it in French basically. So that's why it's very, very important to also like read very well, so that your writing can be a lot better. Alright, so now we are talking about listening. I don't know, I feel like people enjoy listening compared to reading. Of course, I know you guys like your, I don't know, just hearing things and not reading them, and it feels faster, I know. So anyway, listening is also very important. And listening, there are two ways to listen. So there's the active way of listening, and then there's the passive way of listening. So to improve my French, I had to do this like in the two ways. So the active way is more academic. So I got like, I found websites. Guys, I googled a lot. I googled a lot. So I found websites to that could test me, that could test my French, that could test my listening skills most especially. So the websites I used were TV5 Apprendre and RFI Apprendre aussi. Yeah, I think those are the two websites. So I will also link them down below so that you can check them out, and you can do quizzes, you can listen to like interviews and then like do quizzes, and then you can do it over and over again until you can like grasp the words. So that was my active way of listening. I also use YouTube. You know, there are like some listening activities on YouTube that you can do, and then test yourself, write the answers, and then like at the end of the video they will show you like the answers, and then you will mark, oh, I got like 20/30, I got 15, I got 28/30, you know, like that. And that way you can kind of like know your level in French, also your listening level. Now my favorite way is actually the passive the passive way of learning. This was very, very interesting for me because I learned literally doing anything. So the passive way of learning is that you're not actively just listening and just sitting down and trying to learn and testing yourself. This way you're just doing your regular stuff. So like I would listen to like podcasts while I'm driving to work, while I'm coming back from work, while I'm exercising. Like I have my AirPods on, and everybody thinks Maranatha is listening to like Taylor Swift's new album, but I'm actually just listening to like podcasts, like news reports and stuff like that while I'm exercising at the gym. Also, like while I'm cleaning my house, I could be listening to podcasts. Just, you're not too serious about these things, like you're just living your best life but also listening. So because I'm going to give you a reason why I do this, because normally here, as I am here, I am surrounded by the English language. So anywhere I go, if I go to a supermarket, everyone is speaking English. If I go to office, everyone is speaking English. So you have to create create that foreign environment for yourself. That is very important. So in order to create that foreign environment for yourself, that's why you have to listen to French stuff or any language you're learning. You have to listen. You have to listen, but while doing passive stuff, you have to create a foreign country around yourself. So basically you're replicating those people that are learning French in France and Spanish in Spain and Italian in Italy, and yeah, you know the drill. That's why I love passive learning so much. Also, I would say that YouTube is also kind of a passive way to learn, because normally you love YouTube, everybody loves YouTube, so we watch like everything on YouTube. So basically, instead of watching like your favorite vloggers on YouTube, you can create, like, you can find new vloggers, French vloggers on YouTube, and then just get into their lives. They show us everything, and I prefer YouTube because it's so real. Like, everyone is so real. They're using like the modern slangs, and then they're using like the modern words, because sometimes even in books, like, they use like old stuff. Like, if there are some words that you use right now and you say to a French person and they'll just laugh at you, because like nobody uses those words anymore. It's just like saying in English, I can no longer create this kind of like it's just like, normally you just say, oh, I can't create it, but like in like old English you would say, I can no longer something something. So you understand, like, so you just have to, like, with vlogs you can see like what they're doing. They talk like regular people, and that way you can get like the vocabulary of like the modern day vocabulary, not like the olden days vocabulary, because books can be very deceiving, but books are also really good. I love them. My favorite, my number one actually. Okay, last but not least, on va aborder le sujet de l'expression de l'oral, et on commence. So the same way reading is very important for writing, I would say that listening is in fact, it is crucial. It is very, very pertinent to speaking. You cannot speak if you don't hear the language. You cannot just talk without hearing the language, because speaking normally is the last thing that people learn. It's usually the hardest for people. It was the hardest for me, and then I searched online, and then so many people are like, I understand but I can't speak, I understand but I can't speak, I understand but I can't speak. Like, it's like the biggest problem for language learners, speaking. One, you need confidence. Two, you just need like to understand the language properly and also practice the language a lot in order to speak and be understood. So I would say that in order to speak properly, you have to, just let go of fear, because fear usually is the major reason why a lot of people can't speak. They're afraid of making mistakes, they're afraid that they will be judged, they're afraid of literally everything. And I kind of understand, because I see here, like in Nigeria here, somebody, maybe a foreign person, can't speak English so well, and then people start laughing at the person. You can be a genius. Like, in English, you can be like Albert Einstein, you can be like Elon Musk, you can be like the most intelligent person in the world in English, and then in another language, you're like a complete dummy. Like, you don't know anything, like you are just struggling. Like, you will go to the person's country and you're trying to explain yourself, and you just look so dumb. so I understand completely. So that's one thing, like, you shouldn't judge people based on the fact that they can't speak your language, because your language is not everything. English, like, English speakers are so, it's like, we're so in over our heads. We believe that if you can't speak English, you don't know anything, which is wrong. Don't judge people based on the fact that they can't speak English, especially like foreign people that are just trying to get their language together. So most of the time they speak like broken English. Like, you can't judge people that way. You have to understand that they are trying their best, and it requires a lot of confidence in order to actually speak another language. And believe me, like within a year or so, like they're going to be really good in speaking the language. So speaking is very hard. A lot of times they even understand, but just to express themselves is not so easy. So confidence is very important. And one thing I would say is to don't care if you are making mistakes, my dear. Like, don't care. Like, that's the only way to actually improve. Because if you care about making mistakes, you're going to be stopping, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be, you know, you won't be open. But if you make the mistakes, like, all the person is going to do is correct you. So, and they know that you're learning the language. So when I meet like a French person or somebody that speaks French, I would kind of explain. I would say, oh, je suis désolée pour mes erreurs, je parle pas très bien le français, j'apprends toujours le français et j'essaie d'améliorer en fait. And the person will be like, oh non, pas de problème, pas de souci. En fait, tu parles très bien le français. Et normally that's how it goes. So I just usually apologize in advance, just to kind of clear my mind, and it really works well. And then I'll be like, oh, you can correct me, please don't, as you don't feel somehow correcting me. I'm trying to learn, so if I make a mistake, please correct me. And then the person will be like, okay, no problem, I'll correct you. So being open to corrections and just talking, normally they will understand you, like when you're speaking. Also, in order to practice my speaking, I had to use language learning platforms. So the platforms I mostly used were Facebook language learning groups. So I joined like 2 groups for people that were learning languages. So we did like exchanges there. I met some people, and like we would talk on Facebook Messenger and stuff like that. And then I used an app called Hello Talk. So on that app you would meet like different people from different countries who are trying to learn another, like different languages. So it's basically language exchange. So basically I would teach somebody English, and then person would teach me French. So like they would just see you online, send you a message, and then you guys will just start talking from there, and then see if you guys are kind of like compatible. And then you can also like decide on a time and a time frame that is just perfect for you guys to practice and do your exchange. Thirdly, I used Italki. This app was really helpful, because sometimes you meet regular people that are trying to learn languages, but they're not very serious, and you being very serious with your speaking and your language learning, you need somebody that's kind of like professional. Person is not professional, it's just like regular people like us, but they have to take it seriously because you're paying them. So on that app you could find like somebody that charges like maybe $5, $6, $7, $8 to $10 per hour. If you want a professional person, it will cost you a lot more. But me, I was just always choosing like regular people that I would pay some money, and they would just chat with me, speak with me for like an hour, because sometimes those apps you can't find somebody that's very serious. So with Italki, I know that I've paid you, and then you have to show up, and I will review your work. So that really helped me too with speaking. So that way they would correct me, and it was always really nice. Now I would say something else that helped me with my speaking. It's kind of embarrassing, but it's not embarrassing, but I will say it. So I met somebody, like a French person, like online, and then we started talking, and then he caught feelings, and then we started talking. So like I don't know, because of his feelings, he got so serious. Like he was like, I need you to speak the French language, mon chéri. Je veux que tu t'apprends le français avec tout mon cœur. So yeah, so he got really serious with me learning French, and then he really wanted me to speak more in French so that we could be communicating a lot more in French. So that really helped me at that time. So if you're lucky, what the hell? But if you meet somebody that likes you, honey, you just learn and just enjoy the process and just have fun. And yeah, it was nice at that time. It was fun. So yeah, so that happened to me, and it really helped me, because he would like send me different things in French, and then send me voice notes in French and stuff like that. So that really helped me. So yeah. So I really want to give my opinion on using movies as a tool for learning a language. So everywhere you see people talk about using movies and Netflix for learning a language, but personally I'm not in support of that. I feel like there are just better ways to learn, because first of all, movies are just very long, and you will just like be pausing and be writing, and I don't feel it's very realistic, because movies, they're just too edited. Like they're not free. That's why I spoke earlier about using YouTube. YouTube is just so natural. You learn words so naturally through vlogs and videos by regular people like you and I, compared to learning French through a movie that was edited like 1,000 times and was directed and everything. So that's why I really prefer YouTube over learning with movies and stuff like that. But this depends. Like, I know everyone is different, but for me, I just did not see the sense in it. Right now I watch French movies, but also with like French subtitles, just so that I can also like learn new words, and as I'm hearing the words at the same time, I am seeing how it's spelled. So that's, as in, for me, that's fine right now. But at the beginning, like, I tried using movies and it just did not make any sense. So like I didn't see any sense in it, and it didn't help me in any way. So these other ways I have told you really helped me. Also, I would like to highlight the importance of using resources or media from like different subjects, like different sectors, because you cannot be tested in a language. You cannot say you understand a language without having like general vocabulary. I would explain. You can have vocabulary on education, but then they're talking about politics and then you have no idea. Or they're talking about cuisine, food, and you have no idea. That does not make any sense. That means you really do not know the language. So having knowledge or having vocabulary from just one aspect of a language does not mean you understand or you have a good standing in the language. So having, I'm not saying you need to know all words. Even in English, I don't know all words. I don't know like probably 50% of the words in English. So I would just say that just consume media, listening for or reading from education, food, cinema, fashion, you know, hair, politics, science fiction, just everything and anything. Just generalize your knowledge so that you can be able to have like a general knowledge, and you can be able to explain yourself when different topics come up. That's very, very important. Next, I'm going to talk about the thing where people learn specific words. So I would say personally, learning specific words is not very profitable. It's not very productive, honestly, because most of the time you're going to forget the words. I promise you, if you don't use those words all the time, you're going to forget them. So I would say learn how to express yourself instead of learning how to instead of learning particular words. For example, there are just some words I never use. Like, I learned it earlier and then I just never used them, so now I don't know them. But then learning, for example, okay, first of all, if you want to learn a word, the best way to learn the word is in a context. Like learning it maybe in a blog post, so you see how it's used and then it stays in your head longer and better. Also, seeing the words maybe like in a novel or something, just seeing it being used in a context works better than just learning a word like this means this. Most of the time it does not stick, it does not work, and a lot of times you don't even use the words. You will be surprised the number of words we actually use in English and the number of words we do not use. Like, how many times do you use the word firecracker or fireworks or something like that? So there are just some words that you will not use often unless they are in very, very specific situations. So it's just very important to learn, like, in general, how to express yourself. Now, how do you express yourself? I'm going to give an example. So I just said the word fireworks. So I was talking to a French person at one time, and then I was trying to explain like something about New Year or something, and then fireworks. But then I did not know the word for fireworks in French. So he was like, oh, can you explain what it is to me? And then I was like, yeah, like, you know those things where you just throw in the air and then it just blows up and then you see like light and fire in the sky. And then he was like, oh my god, like des feux d'artifice. And I was like, oh yeah, oh that's the word, oh yeah, so that's what it is. So he was like, yeah, so that's the word. And then so being able to describe something is better than knowing the word, because that shows that you have a good grasp of the language. You want to, oh, you don't know what a printer is in French, but then you explain, oh, you know that thing where you put the paper inside and then you send the documents to it through your computer to it via Wi-Fi, and then it prints the document, and then you get the document comes out for you, and then the person is like, oh, the printer, and you're like, oh yes, oh, that's what it is. So that's why it's very important to be able to express yourself, because most of the time your brain, it gets blocked. But if you're able to express yourself, you will be able to get, like, just anybody will understand you. So that's why it's very important. Prioritize learning how to express yourself, learning vocabulary for expressing yourself over learning specific words. Honestly, you don't need it. Just learn in context. Read, listen. Just surround yourself with the language and then you're going to excel. So following these methods and just learning by myself without ever traveling to another French country, I even wrote like a French exam organized by France Education Body, and they tested my ability to speak, my ability to write, my ability to listen, and my ability to read. So right here I have the results. Here for speaking in French, I got 65%. So I was interviewed for like 15 minutes by like a representative of France Education, and I got 65% in speaking. For writing, I wrote like several essays, and then I got 65% in writing. For listening, I listened to several audios and then answered questions on these, and then I got 75% in listening. So for reading, I got 99% out of 100. So I would say my reading is my strongest, and like I said, guys, I read a lot on my Kindle, so it's no surprise that reading was my strongest, and I got 99% over 100 in reading. So and in all these, you are generally like tested on different subjects. You can't just have knowledge on one thing. You have to have a general knowledge of the language. That's why I said it's very, very, very important to just consume resources and media of different subjects, and you can be able to just write any exam you want just to test your language. And with this, after writing this exam now, I can show like employers and anybody like, hey, like I speak French and this is the proof that I speak French, and with this I can be able to negotiate a higher salary or something, like, or I can be, I don't know, like taking on like a foreign meeting for a foreign meeting or something, because I have proof like endorsed by France that I understand the French language. So testing is also very important if you want to prove, especially professionally, that you have knowledge in a language. So guys, that is all I have for you today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot from this video. I tried my best to give you everything that I could. Don't forget, in the description box I will have everything you need, all my resources down in the description box for free, just to help you. Don't forget to also leave me a comment if you have anything to say. If you have questions, I'm here to answer them. Don't forget to also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you would like more stuff from me. You know, I do like fitness, career, lifestyle, and everything, even vlogs. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like this video. It will really, really help and support me. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. So I'll see you guys in my next YouTube video. Bye!